You ever have one of those mornings where you walk into the shop, the air smells like fresh cedar and possibilities, and then you immediately trip over the air compressor hose and faceplant into a pile of shavings?
Is that why there's a bandage on your forehead? Or is that just your new fashion statement for 2026?
That's the tuition I paid for not winding up my cords last night. But honestly, it woke me up. And good thing too, because it's Monday, April 27th, and the world of making is moving faster than a router bit in pine. Welcome to the TigerDen, folks. We've got a massive pile of wood, metal, and business to work through today.
It really is a big one today. We're jumping from high-tech industrial welding to $92 million soap empires. But before we get to the goats, and yes, we are talking about goats, I want to talk about this beast of a welder you flagged, the Fronius iWave.
Oh, Alex, it's glorious. You know how usually if you're switching from TIG, where you're being all delicate and surgical with a foot pedal, to MIG, where you're basically just point and shooting metal like a hot glue gun, you have to lug a different machine over or spend 20 minutes swapping leads?
I've seen you do it. Usually involves a fair amount of creative swearing.
At least. But this iWave Pro 500i, it's a multi-process system that actually works. You hit a button and it's like the machine just adjusts its entire personality. For a pro shop, floor space is money. If you can do specialized aluminum tie G and heavy-duty steel MIG on the same footprint, you're basically playing the shop layout game on easy mode.
It's interesting to see that everything in one trend hitting the pro level. Usually multi-purpose means it does three things poorly.
Exactly. It's like those Swiss Army knives with the tiny scissors that couldn't cut a wet noodle. But in 2026, the tech has finally caught up. We're seeing it everywhere. Saginaw Control is building a 230,000 square foot facility in Michigan just to keep up with the demand for precision enclosures. And Oxbow just opened a spot with robotic welding. It's a weird time to be a maker, Alex. The robots are moving in, but they still need us to tell them where to point the torch.
Speaking of needing people, let's talk about the human side. There's a massive push for trade careers right now, but the barrier for a lot of kids, and even career changers, is the buy-in. I mean, a decent set of starter tools can cost as much as a used car.
It's a huge hurdle. You're ready to sweat, you're ready to work, but you look at the price of a professional grade fluke meter or a set of solid wrenches, and your heart just sinks. But there's a new program called Bring Back the Trades. They're doing monthly grants of up to $1,500 specifically for tool programs.
$1,500? That takes a student from borrowing the teacher's crusty pliers to I have a professional kit.
It's a literal game changer. And it's not just about the heavy metal. Train Technologies just opened this advanced technology training center. I was looking at their curriculum. It's not just how to brazing a copper pipe, it's deep immersion software training.
Wait, so the HVAC guy who comes to my house needs to be a coder now?
Not quite a coder, but he's definitely a systems analyst. These new smart HVAC systems are basically computers that happen to move cold air. If you're the person who understands the software logic and why the compressor is knocking, you're not just a technician anymore. You're a wizard. And wizards get paid the big gold coins.
Okay, let's transition from the wizardry of HVAC to the wizardry of marketing. I've been fascinated by this Beekman 1802 story you found. From a herd of goats to a $92 million skincare brand? That's not a side hustle, Tiger. That's a kingdom.
It's incredible. Dr. Brent Ridge and Josh Kilmer Purcell, they didn't start out saying, how do we disrupt the skincare industry? They started with a farm and a move to the country that left them with a lot of goat milk and not a lot of cash.
But there are 1,000 people making goat milk soap at every farmer's market in the country. What made them different?
They leaned into the origin story. They didn't sell soap. They sold the farm. They sold the idea of neighborly beauty. Every time I talk to a maker who's struggling to sell their coffee tables or their ironwork, they usually talk about the wood or the weld. But a customer doesn't just want a table. They want the story of the guy who stayed up until 2 a.m. in a dusty garage chasing a specific grain pattern because he cared that much.
So you're saying I have to be a storyteller and a craftsman? Is there anything we don't have to do in 2026?
It's a lot, I know. But look at Shopify's new guide. They're basically saying, validate before you vacate. Don't quit your job to make hand-carved spoons until you've sold 100 spoons on social media. Build a minimum viable product. Make the simplest version of your idea, see if the world bites, and then invest in the fancy goat milking machine.
Always with the goats. Let's get into the weeds, or the wood, to wrap this up. You were geeking out over a woodworking jig earlier. Is this one of those things that's going to collect dust on my shelf, or does it actually work?
The Maker channel has been showing off this new joinery jig that, Look, I pride myself on being able to cut a dovetail by hand with nothing but a rusty saw and sheer willpower. But this thing allows you to get furniture-grade joints in a fraction of the time. It's about lowering the frustration floor.
The frustration floor?
Yeah, most people quit woodworking because their first chair wobbles and looks like it was built by a caffeinated beaver. If a tool helps you get a win early on, you're more likely to stick with it for 20 years and eventually learn the hand tool way.
I'll admit, seeing a perfect joint come together is pretty satisfying, even if a jig did half the work.
And then comes the part where everyone messes up, the finish. I watched a guy last week put a water-based finish over an oil-based stain before it was dry.
Oh no, did it just peel off?
It looked like the wood had a bad sunburn, just flaking off in sheets. It's the age-old debate, water versus oil. I use water-based when I'm in a hurry, or I want that natural white oak look because it stays clear. But if I'm working with walnut or cherry, give me oil. I want that wood to look like it's been soaking in a warm bath for a century. I want the depth.
So basically, water is for speed and clarity, oil is for soul and richness?
That's a better way to put it than I ever could.
I have my moments.
Listen, if there's one thing to take away from all the tech and the big business stories today, it's this. Whether you're welding a massive industrial tank or just trying to get a smooth finish on a birdhouse, the goal is progress, not perfection.
And maybe use the grants, seriously. Free tools? Don't leave that money on the table.
Exactly. Go out there, claim your gear, tell your story, and don't be afraid to make a mess. That's how the good stuff happens. We'll see you back in the den tomorrow.
Go build something.